Brian enjoyed his quiet afternoon in Miami, reviewing his pension statement. Suddenly, a glaring red banner hijacked his laptop screen. It claimed his bank account was locked and demanded an immediate transfer to a secure vault. The aggressive language spiked his heart rate, threatening his hard-earned independence. His hand hovered over the mouse, ready to click the provided link. But then, the screen brightness inexplicably dropped, casting his face in shadow. In that sudden dimness, his eyes caught a fatal flaw in the web address. The illusion of urgency began to crack. Would he panic and lose his savings? Or would his careful instincts take over before it was too late?
Brian sat in his dimly lit home office, the late afternoon Miami sun barely piercing the wooden blinds. Dust motes danced in the narrow beams of light. He carefully reviewed his monthly roofing pension statement, enjoying the quiet routine of his fixed income. The house was completely silent, save for the low, steady hum of the air conditioner. Suddenly, a glaring red banner hijacked his laptop screen. It claimed his bank account was locked due to suspicious activity. The text demanded an immediate transfer to a secure holding vault to prevent total fund loss. It included a countdown timer that was rapidly ticking down to 0, adding a layer of artificial panic to the bold, aggressive font. The aggressive, rushing language filled the display, threatening his financial independence. A cold spike of fear hit him, tightening his chest. He moved his cursor toward the provided link, his heart pounding in his chest. His phone buzzed on the desk, vibrating sharply against the polished wood. It was his daughter, Amber. "Dad, are we still on for dinner?" Amber asked, her voice warm and grounding. "Not yet, sweetheart. I am looking at some bank alerts," Brian replied, his voice tight. "Take all the time needed. Sending love," she said gently. Brian hung up, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. He looked back at the screen. Just as he hesitated, the laptop screen brightness automatically dimmed, casting his face in deep shadow. The sudden drop in light broke the spell of the false urgency. He paused, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. He squinted at the URL bar. The domain name was misspelled. It wasn't his real bank. The scammers had made a careless mistake in their rush to steal his money, swapping a letter in the official web address. "Locked? I just checked this yesterday," Brian muttered to the empty room. He leaned closer, studying the fake logo. "Wait, this address looks wrong." He pulled his hand back from the mouse. His breathing slowed down as the realization set in. The aggressive demand was a trap. The scammers relied on panic, but the dimming screen had given him the clarity to see the fatal flaw. He was not going to click the link. He sat back in his leather chair, the tension in his shoulders easing as he prepared to verify the claim through his official paper statement. He reached for the thick document, ready to take back control of his afternoon. Brian closed the malicious tab with a firm click. The glaring red banner vanished, leaving only the familiar, neutral background of his browser. He took a deep, steadying breath, letting the lingering digital anxiety melt away. The room felt different now. The late afternoon Miami sun had shifted, casting a warm, golden glow across his wooden desk, replacing the earlier shadows with a sense of calm. He reached for the thick, physical bank statement he had been reviewing earlier. The crisp paper felt grounding in his hands, a tangible reminder of his real-world assets. He flipped to the back page, his eyes scanning the fine print until he found the official customer service number. It was no urgent demands, just a simple, verified phone number. Picking up his desk phone, he dialed the digits slowly, pressing each button with deliberate care. The line rang twice before a calm, professional voice answered. "Thank you for calling Coastal Credit Union. This is Sarah. How may I assist today?" "Hello, Sarah. This is Brian Miller," he said, his voice steady and measured. "I received a rather alarming email about my account being locked. I wanted to verify my status directly with the bank." "I can certainly check that right now. Please provide the account number." Brian read the numbers from his paper statement, his voice steady despite the lingering adrenaline. A moment later, Sarah confirmed the truth. "Mr. Miller, the account is perfectly secure. There is zero suspicious activity and no funds are locked. The account is completely safe." "I appreciate the help, Sarah," Brian said, hanging up the phone. The fake email threat was completely invalidated by the calm, verified voice of the real bank teller.
His hands, which had been trembling slightly, finally stopped shaking. He felt a profound sense of quiet empowerment. He had not panicked. He had not clicked. He had relied on his own careful instincts and the physical documents he kept in his drawer. He picked up his cell phone and opened his messages to Amber. His thumbs moved deliberately across the glass screen. He typed a quick message. False alarm. I am safe. Love you. He watched the delivery confirmation appear, feeling a deep sense of relief that his family would not worry. He set the phone down, leaning back in his chair. The sunlit office felt peaceful once again. His financial independence was intact. The golden light warmed his hands. Yet, as he looked at the closed laptop, a new thought crossed his mind. With his money safe, he wondered how the scammers had gotten his email address in the first place. The digital world felt a little less predictable than it had an hour ago.
Brian leaned back in his leather chair, the warm Miami sun still bathing his desk in a golden glow. He had just sent the reassuring text to Amber. The crisis was finally over. His breathing was slow, his mind at ease. Or so he thought. A sharp, jarring chime broke the quiet of the room. The laptop screen flickered violently. Suddenly, the brightness plummeted once more, plunging his face into deep, unnatural shadow. The sudden darkness felt like a physical weight pressing down on his chest. A new email dominated the display, pushing his previous work aside. The subject line screamed in bold, aggressive letters. Urgent pension override, case 884-992. Brian froze. The email used his full legal name. It cited his exact roofing pension provider and a highly specific, intimidating case number. The text demanded an immediate biometric verification to prevent the total liquidation of his hard-earned retirement funds. They know the pension details, Brian muttered, his voice barely a whisper in the quiet room. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for the mouse. The heavy, suffocating pressure of the false urgency returned, thicker and more targeted this time. It felt entirely too real and personal. His cursor hovered over the glowing blue verification link. His heart hammered against his ribs. The dim screen made the fake logo look almost authentic in the gloom. He stopped. He closed his eyes and took a deep, measured breath. He was not going to panic. He pulled his hand away from the mouse, letting it rest on the desk. Reaching for his cell phone, he scrolled to his contacts and found Carrie. She was a former voice actor and knew her way around digital traps. He pressed call and put it on speaker. "Carrie, it is Brian," he said, keeping his voice steady. "Brian, everything okay? Sounding tense today," Carrie replied, her tone sharp and attentive. "I need an expert to look at a strange case number for me," Brian said, staring at the darkened screen. "This new message feels entirely too real and personal." "Do not click anything," Carrie instructed calmly. "Just read the sender address out loud." Brian squinted at the shadowed screen, his confidence slowly returning as he prepared to dissect the illusion. The scammers were adapting, but he was not backing down. He leaned closer, tracing the letters with his eyes. The domain was a jumble of random characters, completely unrelated to the actual pension provider. The illusion was cracking again. The air conditioner hummed its steady, familiar tune, a stark contrast to the digital chaos unfolding on the screen. Brian took a slow, deliberate sip of his lukewarm coffee, letting the bitter taste ground him in the physical room. He placed the coffee mug down gently on a cork coaster, ensuring no rings marked the polished wood. He was not just a target. He was a retired roofer who had spent 40 years building things that lasted. He would not let a faceless digital thief tear it down. Brian kept the phone on speaker, the warm Miami sun fully illuminating his desk now. The unnatural shadows were completely gone. "It is a classic phishing attempt, Brian," Carrie's voice crackled slightly through the speaker. "They scrape public records for the pension provider and use it to create panic. The case number is completely fabricated to rush the process." Brian nodded, though she could not see him. His hands were steady. The heavy pressure in his chest had evaporated, replaced by a cold, methodical clarity. "I see it now. I am blocking them," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Good. Do not reply to it. Just block the sender and ignore the threats," Carrie advised. Brian moved his mouse. He right-clicked the malicious email and selected block. The glaring red banner and the aggressive text vanished from his inbox. He took a slow breath, watching the bright, neutral background of his email client return. The digital threat was contained, but the scammers still had his name and the pension provider details. The illusion was broken, but the breach of his privacy lingered in the air. He reached for his physical bank statement again. He flipped to the back page, scanning the fine print until he found the official fraud reporting address. It was a secure, verified portal. He opened a new message, attached a screenshot of the fake email, and forwarded it to the official address. He typed a brief note explaining the targeted attempt. "I forwarded it to the official fraud department," Brian told Carrie. "Perfect. Handled exactly right," she replied. "Stay safe, Brian." "Much appreciated, Carrie," he said, ending the call. He closed the laptop with a definitive snap, letting out a quiet breath. The screen went black, reflecting the golden afternoon light of his office. He had stopped the immediate theft, but the fact that they knew the pension details meant the danger was not entirely gone. They had the information. He needed to take the next step to secure the identity completely. He grabbed his car keys from the desk, ready to head down to the local precinct to file a formal report and ensure the records were flagged before they could use the data. The physical weight of the keys in his palm felt reassuring. They were a tangible connection to the real world, a world where actions had clear, verifiable consequences. He walked toward the front door, his steps measured and purposeful. He locked the front door behind him, the deadbolt sliding into place with a satisfying, heavy click. The afternoon sun warmed his shoulders as he stepped out onto the porch, leaving the glowing screens behind him.
Brian stood on the front porch, the heavy brass key still resting in his palm. The Miami air was thick and warm, carrying the familiar scent of salt and freshly cut grass. He looked down at the keys, then back at the closed wooden door. The digital storm was finally contained. He had already forwarded the evidence to the official fraud portal and blocked the sender. The physical trip to the local precinct could wait until tomorrow morning. His immediate safety was secure, and the bank records were already flagged. He turned the key, unlocked the door, and stepped back into the quiet, cool hallway. Returning to his home office, he sat back in his worn leather chair. The laptop remained closed, its black screen reflecting the golden afternoon light. He picked up his cell phone and opened his messages. He scrolled down to the group chat for his old roofing crew. These were men and women he had trusted with his life on steep, slippery roofs for over 40 years. They valued hard work, honesty, and steady routines. He knew some of them might be checking their phones right now, potentially facing the same aggressive, fabricated demands targeting their own hard-earned retirements. His thumbs moved deliberately across the glass screen. He typed a clear, simple warning. Ignore the fake bank emails. They are a trap. Do not click the links. He paused, reading the words to ensure they were perfectly clear. He hit send, watching the delivery confirmation appear. He put the phone down on the polished wooden desk and took a deep, measured breath. A quiet, steady pride settled in his chest, warming him more than the afternoon sun. He looked out the window at the peaceful neighborhood, watching the palm trees sway gently in the coastal breeze. The scammer's false urgency was completely silenced by his calm, shared warning. He had protected his crew, just as he had protected his own livelihood. He leaned back, resting in the quiet sun. The house was still, save for the familiar, steady hum of the air conditioner. He checked his watch. It was almost time to leave for dinner. Amber was expecting him. He stood up, smoothing his shirt, feeling completely grounded in the physical world. The digital shadows were gone, replaced by the simple, reliable rhythm of his evening. He walked to the hallway mirror, adjusting his collar, and grabbed his car keys from the hook. The brass felt cool and solid against his skin. He was ready to face the real world, where actions had clear consequences, and friendships were built on trust, not fabricated panic.